Okay, we are now live and ready to, are you ready to jumpstart your 2023 health-wise? That's what we're concentrating today. There are a number of aspects of health. We're going to cover this in a minute. I'm going to go through what we're going to do as well. And so let's actually share the screen first of all, so that you can all see what's going on. So yeah, Jumpstart 2023, create a positive ad campaign in your brain. And the reason I decided to do this is because, let's see, it's you decide whether or not you get healthier. It's not the time of year that decides whether or not you're going to get healthier. And so many people at this time of year leading up to Christmas, they make the excuse that it's Christmas time, it's the silly season, that they can't possibly do something to lose weight now because all these other things are set against them to gain weight. Whereas really, that is actually nonsense, because if you want to lose weight, if you want to get healthier, you can start at any time. You don't have to wait until the new year to make resolutions that you know you're going to probably fail at again, because you're actually just creating excuses. So hopefully today's webinar, today's masterclass is going to show you how you can actually start making choices at any time to start getting a head start on next year. You don't have to wait. Yes, there's Christmas. Yes, there's parties. Yes, you want some hedonistic fun. And there's nothing wrong with this in moderation, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of excess of that as well. But just because there's an excess of one thing doesn't mean to say you can't start another thing, or why you have to stop doing the things that make you actually healthier as well. So today, now the scene is set, we are going to cover the UDR, the MAG7, levels of organization, eudaimonia, mindsets, the smart, dumb, and whoop of goal setting, the 4 traps and the joy choice remedy, the 1% health development plan, creating a positive ad campaign for your brain, as promised. And then, with your permission, at the end, I'll share with you what's next, depending on your budget, basically, and any questions and answers which I may not actually record. So that way I avoid sharing some stuff that maybe perhaps people don't want to share. Okay, so yep, you can put your questions in the box as we go along as well, but we'll get to everything at the end that is relevant. So this is possibly my favorite quote to share. If you want to teach people a new way of thinking, don't bother trying to teach them. Instead, give them a tool, the use of which will lead to a new way of thinking. And that's Richard Buckminster Fuller, known simply as Bucky Fuller. And so I am going to help provide you with a number of tools today and show you where there are lots of other tools to help change the way you think, so you can start making those healthy habits happen. A real brief part about, apart from the fact that I'm originally trained as a chiropractor, I've studied functional neurology and functional nutrition. This is my mindset stuff. Fitness mindset certified, recently heroic coach certified, and then the icing on the cake, mental performance mastery certified by Brian Kane, who is one of the top athletic and sports mental game trainers for baseball, golf, you name it, in the States. And a lot of his coaches coach lots of the teams in the States. And also I've done a lot of stuff with Mr. Firewalk, Mr. Tony Robbins and his team, and done some private training. So let's kick off with, first of all, where did the idea of the UDR come from? And what is the UDR? Well, we're going to get to that. So there's a book called The Healthy Deviant by Pilar Gerasimo. I first came across it a few years ago, but I've came across it again as part of the heroic training that I did. And this is a great book, and if you really want to see the context of why people are the way they are health-wise and why we're in the state that we are, then read the book. But here is a quick crash course with the first chapter, which you can actually download for free, I think. Anyway, 50% of US adults are diagnosed with a chronic illness, and it's pretty much the same in the UK as well. 80% are mentally or emotionally not flourishing. 80% of adults are not mentally flourishing. And again, it's the same here in the UK. This is why there are so many people on medications for their brain health and mental health. Yet very often that's not the answer. 97.3% are not maintaining the 4 key habits of decent nutrition, adequate exercise, healthy body composition, and not smoking. Although, as Pickard goes on to point out, probably less than 1% of the population are actually healthy, because while here in this study they looked at nutrition, smoking, exercise, help body composition, they didn't then look at stress levels, they didn't look at if people are getting enough sleep, a whole range of other things that we know are to do with health. So probably less than 1 in 100 people are actually truly healthy. And this actually goes back to something I've been teaching for many years, thanks to a study on basically old age. And it was estimated that less than 1 in something like 120 people actually die of old age. Most people die of a preventable cause caused by their lifestyle choices, which then cause chronic disease. So, I'm still editing this as we go along. There you go. Our most basic human needs are not being met during the course of what currently passes for normal daily life, which is why so many people are going to medical doctors with preventable chronic diseases, and then they're given a drug that cannot actually change their habits and their lifestyle. And so this is what creates, and what is, as Pickard puts it, the unhealthy default reality is in fact the crazy that passes for normal. And so most people are literally being eaten alive by the monster of today's unhealthy lifestyle choices. By the fact that we rely in the UK on the NHS, we rely on medical drugs if you're in the United States or Canada. And doctors rely on drugs and surgery as well. You have to be really sick before you can use the health services and drugs. And so most people are already really sick by the time they're an adult. And no one's really addressing the underlying causes. So one of the first things I'd recommend you do is pop on over to thehealthydeviant.com/quiz and actually do the quiz and tell me what is your health deviant score, and also sign up for some of the free stuff that she's got there. But I'd actually recommend you buy the book and go through it. We're going to get back to that later. Anyway, so there's the overall, that's the problem. That's what I was saying. There's the overall summary of the problem of the unhealthy default reality. And what you want to do is you want to actually become one of the less than 1% healthy deviants that are actually breaking the rules, because unless you're breaking the rules of health, you are probably going to be breaking yourself. So let's have a quick crash course on health. The Magnificent 7 Health Strategies to Create Optimal Wellness and Protection. This is the work of Dr. Bob Rakowski and then myself as well. So there are big 7 health strategies that help you fight against the unhealthy default reality. That's think right, talk right, drink right, eat right, move right, detox right, sleep right. These help you create a strong body, brain, and bowel, which protect your health. And true health, in my mind, is optimal, leads to optimal immunity, high energy, and clear thinking. So if you want optimal immunity, high energy, clear thinking, whether that's to help actually tackle the cause of your high blood pressure, the cause of your blood sugar problems, because blood sugar problems, by the way, aren't just about what you eat. There's all kinds of other stuff going on, including mindset. So We're going to get to mindset in a moment. But here is something I like to try and make everyone aware of when it comes to health, and that's called the levels of organization. So a lot of you may remember from going to school in chemistry, there's a thing called an atom. So an atom is things like helium, carbon, oxygen. And then certain atoms get together and they make molecules. So 2 hydrogens and an oxygen, H2O, make water, for instance, a molecule. And then different types of molecules get together and create macromolecules, so more complex forms of life other than just atoms and molecules. And then eventually life sort of does start appearing, and what are called organelles. So these are individual parts of a cell. So you may have heard me speaking a lot about mitochondria, for instance. Mitochondria are the things inside human cells that create energy, but they're also the factories doing things like creating a lot of hormones and anti-inflammatories and all kinds of things. And they don't make everything, but they are very, very important. And then a group of organelles get together, and that is basically your cells. And so your brain, for instance, is made of brain cells. And so brain tissue is made of brain cells, and then you have muscle tissue, and then you have heart tissue and all kinds of different tissues throughout the body. Well, there are 4 main types of tissue, and how these tissues get together, and they're all made up of cells. They make organs, like your heart and your intestines and your lungs and your brain, and then they all basically get together to make an organ system. So you get your immune system, your endocrine system, your digestive system, and then all these systems get together and they create an organism, a human being in this case. And then also humans get together to create a population. And health actually happens at all these levels, because if your body doesn't get all the atoms and molecules and macromolecules it needs, it can't make organelles. If it can't make organelles, it can't make cells. But if your cells are under attack by other things, then your cells aren't going to be healthy. So there's a number of ways you can actually assess what's going on. It all comes down in the end to your cells. Oh, this is another level of organization picture. So you can see the atoms, the molecules, a cell there made up of all the organelles, then different tissues and organs. And look at a human skeleton and then a human. And this is something called the cell blueprint. And there's a number of ways of looking really deeply at health, but this is something that I use with my patients. If you're not actually a patient or a client, then I'm not going to be using this. I used to. I use a simpler form if you're not a patient, so you can mark yourself. And what the cell blueprint does is it basically is broken down into a number of different sections. I'll just stick that up there. And each section helps determine whether your body is being provided. So the first set of questions are all about, is your body being provided with what it needs to be healthy? Are your cells able to protect themselves? And are the cells able to promote and make more cells, basically? And this then helps basically assess where you are and what is needed to be done, especially when you look at other parameters of health as well. Now, the last few sections, say it's 28, 29, 30 of the cell blueprint, look at basically mental health. They look at whether you're happy, whether you have got a sense of meaning in life. And what we know is that how our social aspect, I'm going to go back to here, where it says population, our social aspect actually affects our health. And how we think, how our brain thinks, actually affects our organs, right down to our tissues and our cells. So if you score poorly on these last 3 sections, then it means we've got to do something about that. And one of the biggest things, and one of the biggest reasons that people fail to actually take a step forwards at this time of year and why they're awake, is because they don't have a very good sense of eudynamic well-being. Well, some of them do. They're just completely hedonistic in their well-being or their sense of health. So what is eudaimonia and eudaimonic well-being all about? It's about flourishing or expressing the best version of yourself moment to moment to moment, that creates possibly a deep sense of joy or more consistent joy. And it's intrinsic, so it comes from within. Martin Seligman, who is the godfather or one of the godfathers of positive psychology, I haven't got his book here. It's called Flourish. He's written a number of books, but one of them is Flourish. And it's not about the pursuit of happiness, it's the pursuit of well-being, which is different from happiness. And flourishing via putting your virtues into action. And so eudaimonic well-being is about putting what's in you into action and getting your sense of well-being, your sense of worth from you. You're getting your sense of happiness from you. You're not getting it from external triggers. And so the cardinal virtues are wisdom, courage, self-mastery, gratitude, love, hope, curiosity, zest. And one of mine is fairness as well. There's a number of ways to assess your virtues. I've spoken about this in other webinars, like the energy webinar. And of course, I do actually go into great detail with my clients with this who wish to go deeper. Carrying on, eudaimonology can be seen as the study of a good soul, whereas ordinary psychology is just the study of a soul or a psyche. So whereas traditional psychology looks at, well, you're not happy, eudaimonology looks at, well, how do we make you into a happy, good person where everything is thriving and you're feeling flourished and you're feeling, what's the word I'm looking for? Satisfied. Anyway, whereas most people, also there's a difference between a eudynamic lifestyle, internal triggers, and the hedonic lifestyle comes from you get all your pleasure from what other people tell you. You get your pleasure from drinking things and smoking things. And yes, all these things like the pleasure of food, the pleasure of alcohol, other substances, getting love and affection from others, these things are all important. But if your happiness 100% relies on external triggers, then you're not going to be as stable as someone who actually relies 100% from internal. In reality, you want both. Intrinsic motivation is geared towards a more psychological stability and a happy life. So if you are having trouble because you're getting all of your happiness from external triggers, then you should explore the possibility of working with someone to actually build all the internal triggers and looking for deeper meanings in life. Because yep, let's just blurb around a bit, sorry. Is there, no, I don't think there is. So yeah, courage, you can read this now. Courage is one of the virtues, the ability to do what needs to get done, no matter how you feel, such as getting healthy habits going before Christmas. So maybe, just maybe, if you're failing to actually get stuff done, if you're failing to make changes, if you're waiting for the new year, if you're waiting for the right moment, maybe it's because you're actually lacking courage. And we're going to get to developing courage, or rather taking that first step, in a little while. So health and how you feel about yourself and your place in the world actually does matter. But how you feel about that, you can change. You don't have to get other people to change it for you. Everything you see and think and hear does not just stay in your head. It permeates your nervous system and influences your behavior and function. So this is really important to realize. And at the moment, this time of year, people are letting everything from the outside determine all of their functions. But if you're intrinsically motivated, which you can learn to do quite quickly in some cases, you can start making some changes right now, especially when you start noticing what is going on. So let's look at building some of this mindset. Let's look at some practical things. How many of you have seen the FedEx sign? Pretty much everyone, I should imagine. But how many people, how many of you have actually noticed that arrow? Now, some of you may have already seen it. Some of you may be looking at what arrow, it just says FedEx. Some of you may already now see it now that you're actually looking, but I will now highlight it. There is the hidden arrow in the FedEx sign. And now you've actually seen it. If this is the first time you've seen it, now you will not actually be able to unsee it. And this is like some of the things that you need for actually building a better mindset and better health. Once you actually see the truth of something, once you actually see something that's really there, you start, like the unhealthy default reality, you cannot unsee it. You will now know that it's there. So this is from the work of Brian Kane. That's why it says NPM certified coach in the corner there. So an elite mindset, it's how you see yourself in situation in the world, and it's being able to change your perspective, because your perspective is your reality. So if you can learn to change your perspective about something, you can get in much greater control of what you yourself are doing. So here is some examples of an elite mindset versus an average mindset. People with an average mindset will often feel sorry for themselves. They see confidence as a feeling, whereas actually confidence and courage is actually an action. So courage, you don't wait for courage to appear to take that first step. You take that first step, and actually it's the action that creates the feeling. Average mindset makes excuses. It's Christmas, I will wait. Yes, I definitely want to do it in the new year, whereas an elite mindset person will just make it happen. So there's a whole range of different things, and this isn't something that's in a book, Average Mindset versus Elite Mindset. This isn't something that's published, but this is something that Brian uses to get it across. And it's probably a mixture of a number of different things, such as, which he does teach. And you can actually, there's a questionnaire for this as well, looking at whether you've got a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Now, both types of mindset have their uses. A fixed mindset is, this is safe, this is safety, we're not going to go out there because it's dangerous. And definitely having that fixed mindset from past experiences can help save your life. So there's a time to avoid challenges, there's a time to give up, there's a time to see effort as fruitless, there's a time to ignore things, and there's a time to feel threatened. However, in today's society, people avoid challenges, give up, see effort as fruitless, ignore useful feedback, and are threatened by too much, and their mindset has become completely fixed. Where it's the growth mindset of actually going out and embracing challenges, persistently seeking obstacles to get over, seeing as effort is actually, if they want to achieve something, it's not because they lack a skill to make it easy. They basically know that it's going to be hard, and they actually see, okay, well, putting in effort is what we have to do. You learn from criticism, and you're inspired by other people's success as opposed to being threatened by other people's success. So you cheer other people on, even if they're doing better than you. And so there are other aspects of the growth mindset, and there are actually ways to see how you are and where you can improve. But there's also inward versus outward mindset as well. And this was, I think, pioneered by, is it the Arbinger Institute, who actually do a lot of work on leadership, but they also do a lot of work on conflict resolution. So someone who's inward mindset, it's about behaviors that protect and advance yourself, but that can actually then lead to underperformance, lack of commitment, engagement, blame, lack of initiative, poor leadership. Whereas an outward mindset can actually lead to actually cooperating with other people, finding a way forwards, and actually seeing yourself as part of a team and seeking help as well, and looking for solutions rather than just seeing problems. And a lot of the conflicts in the world are because you have two sets of people who are very intrinsic, and they're just looking at themselves and saying, my way is the right way. Whereas people who are solution focused are going to say, well, look, this is our culture, this is the way we live, we see you live differently, both of us hate war, let's not actually fight, and let's try and find out what can actually make the world or the universe or ourselves better people. So there's fixed growth, there's inward, outward, there's a few different forms of mindset. And back to some Brian Kane, how you feel about it, i.e. how you feel about doing something, has very little to do with how you do about it. When you have an elite mindset, an average mindset thinks feelings drive actions, so you're waiting perpetually for the perfect moment. An elite mindset knows that actions change feelings, so we act as opposed to waiting until we feel like it or until the moment's right, until everything is settled down. Because if you're waiting until everything is perfect, you're not really going to achieve anything. So now we've had a little bit about mindset, and yes, there are some ways you can track and measure this. Let's go into a goal setting and getting process as promised. Let me just actually have a little sip. So SMART goals. This is what you may have heard of how to help set goals, like your New Year's resolutions. So you want to be specific and trying to make it simple, break it down into small parts, but also trying to make it significant, give it meaning, which we're going to get back to. You need to make it measurable, and again, meaningful comes in again, motivating, get back to that in a moment. You want it something that's going to be achievable, that you can actually believe you're going to achieve. Relevant, and you also need to give it some kind of time based. So you need to actually think, okay, well, I want to achieve this by this time, I want to achieve this result. So instead of saying I want to be healthier the next year, you've got to say, well, I want to be able to run 5 kilometers in under 30 minutes without having to stop to walk, and I want to achieve this by June the 1st. So it's something that is specific and you can measure it. Or you could be like, I want to lose 1 stone in weight by March. And there's no reason why you can't start a little bit now by actually making sure you don't put more on over Christmas, or don't put on as much as you normally would. There's all sorts to be to track and measure. And if you want to improve your happiness, then there are actually questionnaires you can do, there are things that you can do, and then there are actually different steps that you can make in different ways to actually explore how to actually make yourself feel happier and better and more fulfilled. That's the word I was looking for earlier, in different ways. Oh, skipped ahead. But there's also dumb goals, and this was actually uplifting, that word should be. This was a phrase put together by Brendan Pickard, and he says that what you want is, you want big dream. If you really want to aspire to something, then SMART goals are too small and nitty gritty, and you want dumb goals, you want dream driven goals that really uplift you, and they're method friendly, which basically means that you have to start building habits, which is the behavior driven side of it as well. So they all kind of, so basically you want big goals, and then you can actually work out a process that if you actually start doing this on a daily basis, you're going to end up getting there, or you're going to end up getting this. You're going to actually find out, okay, these are the skills I need to develop in order to do this. So you may already have the skills, or you may not. So if you haven't got the skills, then you've got to go and get the skills so you can make it method friendly. I know I'm speaking fast. But what it actually entails down to is, you can actually use this dumb goal process of dreaming big, and then use the SMART goal process to actually get things together in a meaningful way. So you can actually split a dumb goal down into like multiple little SMART goals. So again, we're going to get back to this in a little bit in a moment in a different way. And then there's something called, this is rethinking positive thinking. And this is a kind of combination of SMART and dumb sorted together, which is, what is your wish? What is your biggest? What do you really want to happen? And then what's the specific outcome? But then start planning, what are the actual obstacles in the way? And this is what's kind of lacking in some way from the other two, is what are the obstacles and challenges that may stop you from actually achieving what you want to? And we're going to get to this in a moment. We're going to get to the mental challenges, because this is mainly about the mental challenges and the plan you need. In fact, I've written it here. Wish. What do you want to see in your life, personally or professionally? Imagine something challenging yet feasible you can achieve in a year, a month, a week, or a day. So what do you want to happen? When do you want it by? And then what's the number one benefit you would like to experience as a result? So this is a little bit more about not just, okay, I want to lose weight, or I want to be able to run fast, 5 kilometers in under half an hour. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of losing weight? Think a little bit deeper. Is it because you're losing weight, you're going to feel more confident, you're going to look sexier? Is the side effect of you being able to run for half an hour, 5 kilometers in half an hour, is it because you will lose weight in itself? So, and then what's the benefit of losing weight? Is the benefit of being able to run 5K in half an hour, is it because you're going to get more cardiovascular fitness, you're going to lower your blood pressure, you're going to live longer? And what are the obstacles within you that stand in the way of you achieving that wish? And some people may have to dig deep to get that, but I'm going to help you in a moment. And then we want a plan to get around that obstacle. And then what's the number one thing that you can start doing straight away as well? So basically, when it comes to your goals, New Year's resolutions, and your pre-Christmas resolutions, be as specific as you can. But then, more important than what you want, and this is actually going a bit deeper into the why and the benefits, 7 levels deep. So for instance, let's actually go with the, because I've already got ahead of myself, and with this one is, so you want to run 5 kilometers in under half an hour. So why do you want to do that? Well, I want to do that because I'm going to lose some weight. Okay, so why is it important for you to lose the weight? Well, it's important for me to lose the weight because then I know that I'm going to be healthier and I'm going to live longer. Well, why is it important you're going to live longer? Well, because I want to be around to be with my children or my grandchildren. Why is it important to be with your grandchildren? And you can actually work deep on that yourself. So when you've got a goal, to help you actually stick to that goal, it's really good to understand the deeper reasons why, the more benefits, and then write them down and put them up. We're going to come back to this, okay? Building a positive ad campaign in your brain. You want to know all the reasons, the important reasons why you want to achieve the goal, not because you just want to lose weight. It's why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to eat more healthily? Why do you want this habit? And then from one of the leading lights in eudaimonia and well-being, Dr. Stephen Cole, this, I don't think he actually said this, but it said something similar to this in an interview I listened to, and I actually have got it so I can re-listen to it. Your body is the instrument through which you pursue the thing you value. So let's say you value your children or your family. If you struggle making New Year's resolutions and sticking to healthy stuff, well, what is it you're living for? If you're living for your family, then you've got to be healthy. You've got to actually, in order to actually fulfill, what you're pursuing, you need your body to be healthy. If you really love golf, then you're going to be a much better golfer, and you're going to be able to golf for far longer if you have a healthy body. So what is it that you value? What is it that you really like doing? And link improving your health to that. Because there's going to be something that you love, that you enjoy. Link your health to that and why you need to be healthy to that. Oh, so jumping ahead. So let's get on to some of the things that may be getting in your way. This is another great book that I've spoken to the author actually, Michelle, and I actually participated, which is why it says workbook and book club at the bottom. There was about 20, it's probably about 20 of us that actually went through the book with Michelle and went through the finer details of it. So I really understand this process and can help you with it, but I would recommend that you get the book if you are struggling with sticking to eating healthily, exercising healthily. You've written another book called No Sweat, by the way, which came before this. So in the joy choice, Michelle has actually, and again, there's a quiz you can do to actually identify what is the traps. So remember, going back to Whoop, obstacles getting in the way, go to Michelle Seeger or Seeger.com joy quiz. Again, if you're on my email list, You'll get all the links to this tomorrow anyway, but there you go, michellesager.com/joy-quiz. And there are 4 traps: temptation, rebellion, accommodation, and perfection, TRAP. So temptation, that's an obvious trap. You know, someone offers you cake and you're trying to lose weight, you eat the cake. So you've got to like prepare yourself for temptation. Rebellion, this is when you actually, even though you actually have decided that you are going to be healthy, you're going to rebel against yourself and eat the cake. Accommodation is, it's the kid's birthday party, or I've got to look after the kids, I've got to run around, I've got no time to exercise, I've got to look after my parents, I've got no time to exercise, I've got no time to prepare a meal because I'm doing this, the other, I've got to look after my husband, I've got to look after my wife, I've got to do this. You're always accommodating other people and other things above yourself. So again, that goes back to, what are you living for? What is it that's of value to you? If that is of value to you and you want to serve your family for a long time, you owe it to them for you to be healthy. And then there's perfection. If you're always waiting for the perfect moment to actually take that first step and be courageous, then it's never going to happen. You just have to do it. So there are other things that get in the way, but those are the 4 major trap categories. And it can, depending in which area of life, we're all going to be prone to these at some point. But what's your big ones? And then in the book, it helps you go through how to get through these, which I'm going to help you with in a moment. And so what is the joy choice? The joy choice is all about realizing that life is happening and conflicts arrive. So you've made a plan. You set out your SMART goals, your dumb goals, you've got your WHOOP, you've got everything written down, you've understood your 7 levels deep, but life has happened. And so the joy choice is basically the perfect imperfect option. So you can't do exactly what you plan to do because life has just happened. What do you do instead? So this is from Michelle's book. So you pop, your original plan has gone pop. It's like a burst balloon. It's like poof, it's gone. And so she uses POP as an acronym. So you pause for a moment. Okay, so the original plan's gone. What are my different options as to what I can do in this situation? And then you pick something that gives you the most joy or is the most sensible thing to do in the moment. So I think I've now armed some examples. Yes, examples. So, for example, you've planned to go to the gym, but you've got to pick up your kids extra early. So what you can do is you can actually play more physically with your children. So you can lift them up. You can actually incorporate some weight training. That's what I used to do. As my kids were getting bigger, I incorporated playing with them as a form of exercise for myself, as well as enjoyment for them, and of course bonding with them and having lots of fun with them as well. Say a friend rings you up and it is needing a shoulder to cry on. So what you offer is you say, look, I was going to go to the gym. Got to look after myself, but I really want to help you as well. So why don't we go out for a walk together? Because also walking, did you know, out in greenery or just walking will make your brain feel better. So let's go out for a walk together, and where you can lean on my shoulder and maybe you can have a cup of tea or something as well. Maybe your plans were to go to the gym. It's going to take an hour, but something's happened. Now you've only got 15 minutes. So what can you do at home for 15 minutes? Because working out and doing something for 15 minutes or going for a walk instead of going to the gym or playing more physically with the children is better than doing nothing. So it's not a complete loss. There's still something that's going forward. It's consistency in small things is actually what drives behavior change and will get you the results. It's always looking away, looking for that edge to actually get something done. Other examples, maybe you can't eat a super healthy meal as you're going out. So basically simply make some better choices for your main course and then have the dessert or have a glass of wine. But, for instance, if for those of you who are meat eaters like myself, grass-fed beef steak and then salad instead of chips. Actually, steak is full of nutrients if it's grass-fed, and lots of salad, very, very good for you. And actually, a glass of red wine with that actually aids blood sugar as well, strangely, even though alcohol is very sugary. And then, yeah, maybe have something else, or just enjoy that, and just have a few chips from your partner's plate. So you've got lots of parties to go because it's Christmas. So what? You're not at party. You're not going out to a party at breakfast. You're not going out for a party at dinner and at lunchtime. Well, maybe you are on one day, maybe. But not every meal is going to be involving alcohol and parties. And if you go to parties, there's always going to be some healthier food options there. You don't have to have all of the bad choices. You can actually eat some healthy food before you go. You can have a salad before you go out, so you're a little bit fuller. There are lots of different ways to get something else in that makes it less harmful, less of a problem. And when you start doing all these little things every day, every week, they all start adding up, because instead of it being a complete disaster 7 times a week or 10 times a week or 20 times a week, it's not a complete disaster 20 times a week. It may be only a complete disaster once or twice a week, and you've saved in lots of other areas. And it makes a big difference when it all adds up. So choose to move to optimize your vitality and enjoyment. This is mentioned in the Joy Choice, but I think it's originally from Michelle's first book, No Sweat. You can actually go online and find this as well. So you can actually put in choose to move to optimize your vitality and enjoyment. This is the move prescription. And there's actually a much more in-depth questionnaire looking at your reasons to move. So this, again, doing the questionnaire, which I can give you a link to, on why you choose to exercise, can actually help you exercise more when you actually understand why. So why do you choose to exercise? It because it gives you a feeling of vitality, less stress, stronger, relaxed, joyful, well-being, better mood, feeling in control, enjoyment, less anxious, connection, clear my mind. Now you'll notice that none of those say lose weight. I want to exercise because I want to lose weight. Because when you go to exercise, what's been found is that people who have an immediate benefit for exercising, like I want to go and exercise because I know I'm going to feel better afterwards. I'm going to feel good about myself directly after I exercise. And then the reason for exercise is because of the immediate gain that they get, as opposed to weight loss. It's like I'm exercising because I want to lose 20 pounds. There's no way you're going to lose 20 pounds in one exercise session. And so doing one exercise and not losing 20 pounds in one session, there's no benefit there. And so what has been found is that when you actually choose these things like vitality, less stress, feeling stronger, feeling better in myself, choosing these reasons to exercise will actually help you exercise more often. Choosing these reasons for actually eating healthier, instead of I'm eating healthy because I want to lose weight, because losing weight is going to take time, especially if you've got 20 pounds to lose, or 40 pounds, or 50 pounds. So they want immediate reasons. Okay, and then what type of movement is most likely to bring these experiences? What would be a realistic goal, and how can I support you in learning how to move more? So if you do need support, reach out. And remember, you decide to get healthier. It's not the environment, not your parents, not your children, not your job, not your boss. You decide. So how are we doing? So the 1% health development plan. Now, I did say in some of my copy for this, some of the things I was saying is you can actually improve in a very short amount of time. So 1% health development plan. So the 1% development plan, or personal development plan, comes from Brian Kane. And 1% of the day is like, it's 14 minutes and 24 seconds. I round that up to 15 minutes, which is 900 seconds. So just over 1% of the day is 900 seconds. And so you think, okay, well, 900 seconds, yeah, I could probably find 900 seconds throughout the day. I could probably find 15 minutes. And what happens if you find 15 minutes? Well, if you compound 1% of your day, okay, 1% compounded means you double your health in, any guesses? 1% a day? Now, the tempting easy math is to go 1% a day compounded, 1% times 100, it'll take 100 days. But actually, because it's compounding, the way compounding works, it's actually 70 days. Because if you put in 1% of effort today to get 1% better, then tomorrow you're already 1% better than you were today, so you're 101%. And so 1% of 101% tomorrow is 1.01. Anyway, so it takes 70 days to double your health by just spending 15 minutes a day. But it gets even better, people. The 80-20 rule, which I've spoken about before. The 80-20 rule applies to all kinds of areas of life, economics, but also health and what you do. And it's basically, it's 20% of the time you put into something creates 80% of the results. So while we know that doing 15 minutes a day of exercise or meditation or this has a massive, massive effect on your health, a lot of those benefits may actually only come from 20% of those 900 seconds or 15 minutes, which is 180 seconds or 3 minutes. So 120 seconds. So if you're struggling, if you're thinking actually 900 seconds, oh, I don't know if I could find 15 minutes in a day, how about 3 minutes? I'm betting you can find 3 minutes. I'm betting you brush your teeth twice a day. I'm betting you do something. You maybe do some makeup, or you get your hair done, or you spend time grooming, or you shave every day. There's probably something. There's some way that you can get 3 minutes. You're sitting down watching television for 3 minutes. You can actually do something while watching TV. You can find time. So even doing 3 minutes a week, okay, towards your health will compound over the course of 52 weeks, so over the course of 70 weeks, you can double your health, or close to it maybe, if you're doing 3 minutes of extra stuff a week. So even in this silly season, if you do 3 minutes of extra health building stuff every week, so for the next 2 weeks before Christmas, okay, so it's maybe 1 or 2% better, but that's 1 or 2% in a couple of weeks before Christmas. No time at all to do something. And if you actually do your 1%, so your 15 minutes, or even just 3 minutes maybe, of every day for 1 year, you'll actually be 37 times better because of the way that compounding works. If you do a little bit every day, if you're doing a lot, you'll get there. In fact, that is here. Yes, lasting health and success comes from doing a little, a lot, and not doing a lot, a little. So focus on doing those little things daily. So how to fit in 15 minutes per day. So have a look at your day. Have a look at this. This all goes back to planning, the getting over obstacles and putting together a plan for the whoop. What time of day is under your control the most? Is it morning time? Could you get up 5 minutes earlier and do something in the morning for 5 minutes? Is there 5 minutes at lunchtime, or 15 minutes? Is there 5 minutes in the evening, or 15 minutes? Or is there something you can delay and put off for 15 minutes at some point during the day? Or what could you stop doing that could actually give you some time? Could you stop watching so much TV, or could you stop reading Hello or OK magazine, which I know they can be absorbing and they can be fun. But is there something that you could stop or exchange some time from? Okay, or what can you do at the same time, like watching TV and stretching? So examples of what you can do in your 15 minutes. It depends on where in the Magnificent Seven you have some weaknesses or what you want to improve. Could you do 3 minutes of meditation, 3 minutes of deep breathing, 3 minutes of stretching, 3 minutes of body weight strengthening exercises, 3 minutes of gratitude journaling? Get an adjustment every week. There's all kinds of things that you could do to actually improve your health, whether it's 3 minutes a week or 15 minutes a day, when you can do lots of 3 minutes. I thought I'd put this one in here, the adjustment, because I saw this quote, so that's why I did the adjustment. An adjustment really doesn't take very long time. While other professions are concerned with changing the environment to suit the weakened body, chiropractic is concerned with strengthening the body to suit the environment. And that's a lot of the things that I do, whether you're coming into the clinic to see me or whether you're working with me online. I'm looking for ways to strengthen you against the environment, as well as we can actually work on ways in changing subtle things in your environment to make it easier as well. It works both ways, but we can make you stronger to make you more resilient so you can resist the stress in the world around you. So here's some examples of what I do. I often start the day with some kind of positive input. It's reading or listening to a podcast. Currently, I listen to Brian Kane's podcast. He does two, but one of them he does daily, and the daily one's 3 minutes. Often in the morning, I'll do some kind of resilience breathing exercises or energizing breathing exercises, where in the evening, I tend to do more Wim Hof training. 2 minutes of spinal exercises. Sometimes I'll do that in the morning. 10 to 15 minutes of yoga or stretching while watching television. So there you go. It's so easy. If you watch television, you have time to stretch and exercise because you can do it at the same time. 8 to 9 minutes of guided visualization, going through the virtues I want to express and what I want to achieve short term and long term. And there's reasons why you want to actually visualize what you want to achieve in your brain as well. I recorded this myself, adapted from a Brian Kane formula. So I actually have it on my phone and I update it and I listen to it, and it's very passive because you can do this while lying down in bed. You can do it getting up in the morning. I'm feeling, I don't want to do breathing exercises. I'll just go downstairs, put this on, and then you're doing something positive. 20-second bursts of intense exercise throughout the day. It's so easy to do. You can do 10 press-ups, you can do 10 squats, you could do some squat thrusts, you could do some burpees, or you could just do some deep breathing if you don't really do much exercise, because just doing deep breathing for people who are very unfit is tremendously beneficially helpful. And doing that 5 to 10 times a day, 20 seconds, that's going to add up over a week and over a year. There's lots to do. Other things I do, prepare lunch and sometimes breakfast the night before. Makes things easier. Spend time planning my day, my week, my year as well. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of things you can do to actually make yourself healthier and give yourself more good habits. So creating a positive ad campaign for your brain. Now, I've just mentioned one is record your own guided visualization. You can just listen to ones that are already out there, but it's great if you record your own. And yes, I have a formula for doing one, and we can work on one together if you so wish. So record your own guided visualization. There are lots of stuff out there you can use. It's great because it's super passive, because you can listen to it while lying down in bed at night. You can just reach over and put it on in the morning or at lunchtime. I actually listen to mine before doing this. I prefer to sit up, but sometimes I do actually do it last thing at night, lying in bed and fall asleep as well. So there we go. So that is one. And if you're recording something and playing it in your own voice, you're programming yourself positively. So especially if you're someone that's always listening and hearing yourself speaking negatively, you want to record yourself speaking positively to yourself, because you will listen to yourself. You want to put up notes and pictures in places that you'll see them. A lot of you have seen the I Am Enough video from Marissa Peer, where you just put up I am enough everywhere on post-it notes. But you can get pictures of things that encourage you. You can put pictures of people that inspire you. You can put pictures of places and things that inspire you. You can put up quotes. You can put them in your mirror in your bathroom. You can put them a notebook by your bed. You can put a post-it note in your car on the steering wheel. You can put stuff on your phone. Yes, put alerts on your phone. Name them: smile, impact, peace, breathe. Let's see, what's the name of one of my alarms? Energy, certainty, empathy. So I have something that goes off. BDC, consistent. BDC stands for Black Diamond Club. Then I've got Mahatma Chris, which is kind of one of the embodiments of who I want to be. And that not Mahatma Gandhi, I want to be Mahatma Chris. So there are alerts and things, and you can actually set them to go off. So you can remind yourself to actually think healthily. And you can put those in so many different places. Then another thing that really helps this is rewarding yourself when you actually do an activity or behavior that you like, such as you can reward yourself for listening, for doing a recorded version. You can reward yourself for actually doing it and reward yourself for listening to it. And so remember, Pavlov's dogs, Pavlov, Russian scientist, trained dogs to salivate at ringing a bell because he'd ring a bell, then feed them, ring a bell, then feed them. And basically, in the end, he just ring a bell and they salivate. And it's the same for us when we expect stuff. Physiology, everything starts changing. And so if you reward yourself for the behaviors you want to happen, you reward yourself for effort rather than rewarding for actually, yes, you can reward yourself for getting to the ultimate goal. So you want to have an appropriate reward set for that, but you also want to have little rewards set for actually doing the actions that make you get there. So reward yourself every time you go out for a run. Reward yourself every time you actually choose to do something that's a joy choice. So reward yourself when life happens, but you still make a choice that's good for you or not as bad for you. And there are different things. So you've got to say, okay, well, this is, different things need different rewards, because you can't reward yourself by buying a new watch for every single time you do a behavior. You can get a nice watch or a nice Christmas present or an extra present for yourself when you achieve something big. But you want to find out the appropriate reward for all the things that you want to do. It can be simply a tick or patting yourself on the back or going to get a haircut or going to get a massage, or you can actually make stuff like if you enjoy going to get your hair cut or you enjoy going to get a manicure and you're doing these things regularly, you can actually put those as rewards, but you can say, well, okay, in order for me to do this thing, I've got to actually do this first, and then I reward myself with this manicure or whatever. So learning to reward yourself properly, again, something that we can coach you on, because a lot of people need coaching. Another tip is, and this is what goes back to these 1% things and doing little things often, is if you make the challenge of what you want to achieve too big. So for instance, there's a lady there looking at that ladder and her goal is to lose 20 pounds. Getting to that first run is really hard. Whereas this gentleman wants to lose 20 pounds, but he's actually said to himself, as I'm going to reward myself for every 2 pounds or every pound that I lose. I'm setting myself the goal of losing a pound or two. And every time he succeeds in getting a pound or two, he climbs up the ladder, climbs up the ladder, climbs up the ladder, climbs up the ladder. Whereas this person is going to be frustrated all the time because they haven't lost 20 pounds yet. So getting the activities in the right way and rewarding yourself in the right way is one of the keys to long-term success. So it's about measuring everything properly and tracking it. So you measure everything by doing the assessments and then knowing what your goals are, setting yourself out, tracking your way and your progress. And it's easy if you've actually done this kind of thing rather than this kind of thing. So as a little bit of a summary, okay, we've looked at fixed versus growth mindset, inward versus outward mindset, health deviance, reasons to exercise, the 4 traps: temptation, rebellion, accommodation, perfection, smart, dumb, and whoop goals, 1% and Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle, and success in 3 minutes per week. I hope you're now believing and seeing that it is possible. It is so possible to start making impacts on your life and your health now. You don't have to wait for New Year. You can do stuff right now. And then there's these things like the Healthy Deviant.com quiz to see where you are now, and you can grade yourself. The Michelle Seeger Joy quiz to actually see what kind of traps you might be falling on into. You can listen to Brian Kane. Yes, it's actually geared towards like athletes and things, but you don't have to be an athlete to actually get some goodness from what he teaches in his podcast every morning. So there's 3 good resources. I'll send out the stuff for the Carol Dweck and what's the other thing I've got to send out? and exercise questionnaire. Yes, so I'll send those out as well and links to them. So what is next? Well, you want to build and expand the plan and make it habitual. So what's next is go back through this and build your 1% a day. What are you going to do in those 3 to 15 minutes? You know, forget Whoop, forget smart. What are you going to spend 3 minutes a day doing? Is it stretching? Is it breathing exercises? Is it meditation? Is it gratitude journaling? Write it down. When are you going to do it? That's the most important thing, is write down when each day you're going to do this 3 minutes or this 15 minutes. Write it down. That is the first and easiest plan to do, is just write down when you're going to do it, or even just write down right now on a piece of paper or on your phone or on the computer. Write down when you're going to sit down and spend 3 minutes planning the 15 minutes. That's the first action. Write it down. So if you're on a budget, so say you've got no money, then use the links that I provided and just do the work, because just do some of the stuff that I've suggested and start working. If you got £10, then what I would actually suggest you do is go to Amazon or somewhere else where you can get an Audible book, and get the 1% Better book by Brian Kane. It's a short book, easy to read, but I actually recommend you get the Audible version, the audio version, and listen to it daily, because there's a number of things in there, like developing a 1% daily personal development plan, and there's some other key factors and key things in there, and it's told in a parable kind of way. It's a story. It's not a textbook. It's basically a story. And yeah, it's take you an hour and 20 minutes to listen to the whole thing. And yeah, I've made notes from it because I go out and I listen to stuff and I write notes on my phone. And yeah, if you want to build yourself a plan, and you've got £10, just buy the book and listen to it multiple times. Basically, that's the best use of your time. That's the best, I think, thing that you can buy. If you've got a bit more money and you like reading books, then as well as getting Brian's audiobook, get a hard copies, or maybe audiobooks, but I go for the hard copies of The Healthy Deviant and The Joy Choice. So you can actually read and make notes, especially The Healthy Deviant. I think it's really good to get a hard copy of that. And The Joy Choice as well, so you can actually work through on some deeper things and some ways, because the Healthy Deviant book has also got a 14-day plan at the end of it on how to actually start changing your life. And so it gives you lots of things that you can do in the 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And it's really good at showing you how you don't have to go for the 6-pack abs. You don't have to go for this utter perfection. And so the Healthy Deviant book and the Joy Choice book really go well together, because they actually show you how you can actually make yourself perfectly healthy, as in, you don't have to be like perfect goddess or god, but you can be really, really perfectly healthy, okay, by doing imperfect things in an imperfect world. Because a lot of those perfect looking people are not healthy. So anyway, those two books really work well together, especially if you then use the 1% Better plan. But if you've got a bit more money, so £100-ish, then Pilar Geresmo actually has an audio program for her 14-day stuff that's in her book. But if you like to go a little bit deeper and you want a plan of action, then sign up for her 14-day adventure, or you can have a consultation with me. But say you want more than this, and you know that you actually want to work with someone, you can actually work with me as your 1% a day coach. Because I can assess each of the Magnificent Seven. There's loads of different assessments. We can build a plan for each, work on visualization, mindset, accountability, eudaimonia. I'll stop this in a moment and I'll show you something. Habit building, including how to reward yourself properly, because you decide to get healthier. And I can teach you how to decide better. And I love this, so I'm going to say it again. Your body is the instrument through which you pursue the thing you value. So let me now stop sharing. Hello, everybody. And let me just show you something. So at the beginning, I spoke about heroic coach. So these optimize, well, because it was heroic before it's heroic coaching, it was optimized. Oh, what's happened? There you go. So these are just my notes from the heroic course. This is some of my early training on. This is just full of actual. This is just a book full of scientific studies on the innate state of mind and emotional hygiene, many years ago. And then the mental performance mastery book. So this is basically full of all the different assessments and strategies for going through the 10 pillars of mental performance mastery. So this is all just stuff on the mental side of health, and all the different things that can be done just for the mental side for actually getting you going and getting habits going. So I'm going to stop recording this in a minute so we can get to questions and stuff. So thank you very, very, very much for watching. I will be putting this on YouTube. If you're watching a recording of this later and you want to reach out to me, then you can call the clinic Body in Balance on 01 707 662 704 and ask about 1% better coaching. That's my name for it for today. Or I'll make sure I put a link to Facebook things, LinkedIn things, website, in YouTube and around, so you can actually find me. Okay, as ever, because it's good to be a little bit geeky, live long and prosper with magnificent health. And that's the one I want to do.